I don't know who my father is. From what I heard, he's a very good-looking, highly intelligent man. So that means I'm a bastard child. My father, my stepfather, the only father I've ever known, he was the oldest of 9 kids. His dad was an alcoholic. His mother was a type who would marry an alcoholic. And at one point in his life, all his brothers and sisters were put in foster homes. He had a rough life. He was a hard worker. He was the oldest of 9. And he came into my life around six months old. And by the time my mother was 19, she had 4 of us. Of course, my father, he did the best he could. He wasn't high school educated, but he worked hard. He'd have many jobs throughout the year. We'd move from home to home. And my dad, he just had a rough life too. Us kids, we learn how to cope and deal with people in our lives, our fathers, our brothers, our aunts, our uncles. And Dad would beat you at the drop of a hat. I mean, if he looked at you wrong, if he said anything, there was a beating. We didn't greet him at the door because it wasn't safe. And so this is my environment when I grew up. Of course, I did have a grandmother who came by and pick us up, take us to church. From our grandmother would say, we'd all have diaper rash really bad, hungry. And so my dad's side, they're alcoholics, they all drink. I remember the first time I got drunk, I was 13 years old. I went to my grandmother's house, my dad's side. First time I ever got drunk. It was one of the best things I ever had at the time. And it was interesting, and she said, don't tell your other grandmother, because she's a Christian, And so this is my life. Now, of course, I remember one time, many years after my mom and dad had divorced, sitting around the dinner table, my dad said something that was very unusual, and I had to think about it. He said, I wouldn't have had so many kids if it hadn't been for my brothers. What does that mean? So here it is. I come from a family, a very functional, dysfunctional family. But you think about it. Here you are, wherever you came from, whatever emotional dynamics you have experienced growing up, this divine spark within you, this little bitty baby, is experiencing a world that's different than other worlds. You have your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, your abusers, the non-abusers, the lovers, the non-lovers, whatever it is, you figured out how to survive. I have a brother that's 1 year younger than I am. He looks a lot like my Uncle Eddie. He was a scapegoat. He got beat, even if he didn't do it. He was blamed, even if he was innocent, and he took it on. Now, of course, you can look at my brother Steve. He's been in prison 2 times. The next time he goes in for life, drinking and driving. And then the second time, hanging around the right people who helped put him in jail again. Burglary, stealing. So we all come from a good system because of where we landed. Of course, when I say where we landed, I believe when you're born, the stage was set before you. I mean, if you think about it, here I am. My mother's 14 years old. She gives birth to a little boy at 15. The stage was set. I don't know who my father is. She may know who he is or may not. And here it is at the time in 1961. That's not a very good position to be in. And so she had her problems. She dealt with them. She had her pains, her hurts, her rejections, and this little boy came into her life. Now, of course, here it is. I'm just a baby looking up at this world. This is all I know. If you were landed in a family who is wealthy and you were the golden child, the one they've been trying to have a baby and you're it. And they have money, they have wealth, they're emotionally intelligent. They will treat you totally different than if you were the last of the 12 kids. The one your mother didn't want in the first place. Or the first one that was born and she didn't like the guy who knocked her up. You came into this world and it was set before you. The question is, people ask me all the time, why am I so screwed up? Why am I in such a mess? Why do I have these problems? And I'm going to tell you, there's nothing wrong with you. You just went to a different school, you had a different environment, different system, and you survived. You took this stuff in, you utilized it, you created a world and understood how that world was to be, and today you're at a good place right here. Habilitat. Now, Habilitat has a good belief system, has the same basic belief system I have, and that is there's nothing wrong with you. You just know how to have your problems. You just hadn't figured out how to change how you think. You know, of course, you know, I come from a family, you know, you don't cry. You're tough. You don't show your emotions. They'll beat the crap out of you again. So here it is. We pretend to be tough. We pretend like we got it all together. But on the inside, you stink. You don't know how to deal with your pain. You don't know how to deal with your hurt. You tough it up, ignore it, and run. You know, this is one thing I discovered. I've been doing seminars since 2002. 2002, I started doing seminars about weight loss. You know, I don't care about weight loss. But I discovered something when I did weight loss that I figured out weight loss has everything we need to change. Because I thought, you know, just quit eating, you know. And I remember I took these books, you know, I make these weight loss books, and I go to the printing place, and the guy goes, well, I don't understand these fat people. You know, they just quit eating. And I said, you know, that's what they say about people like you, suck on cigarettes all day long. Why don't you just quit sucking on cigarettes? You know? But yet, both of those problems are the exact same problem. And what I discovered that every one of you are experts at running. You got your shoes on. You run from your problems. You'll smoke it, you drink it, you'll screw it, you'll eat it, you'll do anything but deal with the real problem. I call it escapeaholics or avoidaholics. We play tough, we pretend like we're tough, we act like it's not there, we'll work, we'll clean, we'll do anything but go one place. And that's where the problem is. Most of us came into this world with emotionally ignorant people. That means if you feel bad, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you feel bad? If you're here, you're sitting here with me, and I'm talking, and I'm saying all these words, and all of a sudden, a memory will pop inside your head, or a feeling shows up, what the hell are you going to do with it? You're going to divert your attention, you're going to run, you're going to eat, you're going to smoke, you'll zone out and pretend like you're not here. How are you going to change how you feel? See, what I discovered that real men, real women, intelligent men and women figure out some way to take control. I don't know about you, but I don't like it when somebody can look at me or say something or do something and I feel bad, angry, and upset. Which means you outside me has more power than I have inside me. And so what I have discovered is how to change how I feel. And I'm not talking about running from my feelings. I'm actually saying change how you feel. If you knew how to do that, you know how much money you would have after you leave this place? You know how much wealth you would have, how much better relationships you would have, how much healthier your body will feel. Do you realize most and all your problems are designed from all the inability of not dealing with your problems? It's because you don't know how to deal with your problems. So here it is, you're upset, you're angry. What do you do with it? What do you do with it? Anybody? What do you do with your problems? You're upset. You can yell at somebody. You can beat somebody up. You can run. You can go anywhere. But where does it go when you go? It goes with you, doesn't it? So what I'm talking about is creating soldiers of emotional intelligence, people with real power. Now, you know, I have a high school education. I did go to college. I could not pass English 2. I tried 3 times and I quit. All right. Now, why did I try English 2 and I couldn't pass it? Is it because I was dumb? No. And I'll tell you why I couldn't. Because I moved from school to school to school, and I had learning difficulties. I rode the small bus to school. You know what that means? That was the special school bus. I rode that small school because I moved from school to school. We were not emotionally intelligent. We were angry. We were hurt kids because we moved around. And so I discovered that the reason why I couldn't pass English 2 is because I had stuff in my head with English and school teachers. In your mind, we have programs inside your head. That means things that happen without you thinking about what happens. One of the things I discovered, when we think inside of our mind, we have pictures. We have pictures, or we have movies, or slideshows. That means you're laying in bed and you have all these memories just flashing through your mind. You ever have that happen? Yeah. And those memories are just happening. And you know, some people said, well, I have insomnia. I said, you don't have it. Give it to me. I'll take some. You know, give me a pound of it or a couple of ounces. I could use some every now and then. I need to get stuff done. All right? So here it is. What do we have really? So inside of our mind, you're trying to sleep. You have a slideshow or movies or things flowing through your mind. It's entertaining your consciousness. But see, if you have no power to change what you hold within you, what is controlling you? Because if you think your mind has a mind of its own, it's the weirdest thing. Because, you know, it's like, lady, I'm sorry my hand pinched you. It just has a mind of its own. I mean, that's ridiculous. The problem is that most of us are emotionally stupid. We don't know how our minds work. We don't know how our bodies work. We just feel and experience life and then blame everybody else why we feel bad. But yet you could do it right here in your chair. You can think about what happened to you at 12 years old. You can think about somebody in the room that irritates the fire out of you. Who is doing it to you? And it's you. But see, you don't know how to change the pictures in your mind. You don't know how to change the movies and the slideshows. And anybody talk to themselves inside yourself? Yeah? You have conversations? Anybody have other people talking to you inside your head? Like your mother saying stuff or your father saying stuff? Yeah? Now let me tell you something. It's not them. Your head's too small for them to fit in. Trust me. Whose voices are those? See, inside your mind, you have voices. You have songs. You have songs in your head? Yeah? All right? You have their voice and your voice. Whose voices are, what is inside you? Is it them or is it you? See, do you know how to change the voices in your head? You do? How do you do it? Most people don't. How do you change the pictures inside your head? You don't know. Do you realize that the past is over and it doesn't exist? Where are you right now? Can you feel that wonderful soft chair underneath your rump? Can you feel the nice air conditioning blowing on you right now? No, I don't either. But I want you to notice you're here with me. But here's the amazing part about your brain that you don't know about. Your brain is photographic. It's like it takes a snapshot of a moment. And the moment you start thinking about that moment, it starts to feel as if it's real right now. Isn't that true? All right, so what I'm trying to help you understand is that your brain is a hypnotic machine. That means your brain can go to a memory, and when you go to that memory, you feel like it's true. You feel like it's happening now. And not only that, it makes you do things sometimes when you don't want to do it. Isn't that right? But you hadn't discovered the art of changing your mind. And so here's the problem with people. They believe that the past and the memories are real. Did you hear what I just said? Do you believe that? How many of you had a bad experience in your life? Every one of your hands should fucking go up right now. Or else you wouldn't be here. Right? You had bad experiences in your life. And by the way, are those experiences real today? No. Are you there? No. But you know what will happen to you? You'll start thinking about it. And the moment you start thinking about it, what happens then? It feels real, doesn't it? You feel the emotions of it. You feel the hurt of it. You feel the anger, the guilt of it. If you could change that, if you could go to your memory and totally change how you internalize it, how you hold it, and release the emotions, and you can go look at that memory and not feel it at all, how would your life be from this moment forward? If you go to every bad experience and every guilt, every anger, every rejection, every abandonment, everything that you could ever imagine, and you go to those memories and completely change it, how would your future change now? You could change everything. You know that, don't you? You know every decision you make today is based on what happened behind you, that's already happened. You make decisions what you wear, what you do, people you hang with, people you don't hang with, your hurts, your pains, it's all based on something in the past. And so most people believe when you have bad experiences and you have loads of bad experiences, there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to have to learn to live with it the rest of your life. Do you understand that? But you know what? That is absolutely not true. So what I do is I teach people how to take control. I give them power to change any and all bad emotions and feelings. I show them how to take control of everything that's ever affected them in any way possible. So one of the things I discovered that people, everybody, the rich, the poor, the fat, the skinny, the tall, the short, the male, the female, the gay, the straight, are all the same. They all do it the same inside their head. They may do it uniquely different, but so let me help you understand. Here it is, you're with me today. And from the moment of birth, your mind starts accumulating experiences. Sometimes experiences you cannot even remember. Experiences that's so deep inside your mind that you don't have any idea that it's there. For example, just being able to walk across the floor, your unconscious mind has memories in there how to use the muscles. I don't know if you've seen a little baby. How many of you seen a little baby? And they, they're going like this. And then all of a sudden they find a finger. And the next thing you know, they're putting their thumb in their mouth and they're sucking on it. At first, they didn't know where it was or even what it was. And over a period of time, they figured out neurologically how to find their finger. And they suck on it. And the next thing you know, I have grandchildren. Next thing you know, you lay them on the belly, they're just whining and whatever they're doing. And then they figure out they can pull their knees up and they stand on their knees. And their hands rocking back and forth. They don't know what to do beyond that. And next thing you know, they start putting one in the other. Next thing you know, they're crawling all over the place. And next thing you know, I have a little Matthew. It's many years ago. He's 21 years old now. And he's crawling around the floor and I saw him munching on something. And I reach in there and I pull it out of his mouth and it was a June bug. If you don't know what a June bug, it's like a little beetle. And he started to cry because that June bug tasted good. He did not like the idea I pulled it out of his mouth. But today, at 21 years old, he does not eat June bugs. Because see, children will learn from where they come from. Children will learn how to operate. You have discovered how to operate within the world. So let's say, for example, you've been beaten. You've had parents who are alcoholics, drug addicts, whatever they are. And you've had kids at school beat you up, teachers you didn't like, brothers and dads and uncles and whatever else. And they keep affecting you. And this little child, this little you, starts accumulating all this information. And then they wonder why little Johnny, little you, have trouble learning at school. You know, the lady who works at a mental health facility, she said, I was diagnosed with ADD or ADHD. And she says, I couldn't learn at school. It was impossible for me to learn at school. Because I knew once I got home, the babysitter would beat me every day. And I was petrified and terrified to going home. Now this little child, here it is, they have this fear inside their head and they keep operating. And then of course when they're at school, they're acting up and they're getting in trouble. And then all of a sudden they hate school, they hate learning because they can't concentrate because they got all this crap going on inside their head. And then they wonder why they don't feel very smart, they don't feel very good, they don't feel very successful, and yet their brother or their sister are better than they are because they didn't have the same babysitter. They were older, they were younger. And so here all these memories are stacked piled inside your mind, and this pressure is trying to get out. All this pressure, and all of a sudden you're right here with me. You're right here with me. And I may talk about memories, I may talk about ideas, and all of a sudden you start to squirm in your seat because you can feel something and remember something that happened to you. And the problem is, you become what I call this is my great artwork, by the way. A trance monkey. You know what trance monkeys do? Monkey see, monkey do. I see a monkey and I act just like you. Because see here, I'm just talking. I'm just saying words. And you're squirming in your seat. You're thinking about memories and you don't know how to get rid of your feelings, do you? You just act up. You get angry, you throw something, you can't wait till, what's it called when you get in a room and you get to vent? Games. You can't wait for games so you can release some of this stuff. You can't wait to lash out and just kind of give them some of your special stuff that you got brewing inside. But you know, do you really give it to them? Because I'm telling you, after the games, you can still go lay in bed and still feel it. Isn't that right? It didn't solve it. You may vent a little bit. How do you change your mind? That's the real question, isn't it? How do you change your mind? If you understand inside your mind who you are right now is a success. Because I'm telling you, if I walk the same steps that you've experienced, if I have the same parents, the same physical things and things that you went through, you know who I'd act like? Just like you. If I had the same thoughts, the same experiences, I'd be just like you. Matter of fact, I have brothers like you. I have a sister like you. And the only difference between me and them is I figured out one thing. I figured out how to change my mind. I figured out how to change my emotions. I actually became a real man.